Hey there, friends, and welcome back to another 3-Minute Thoughts. My name is Derek, and in the next 3 minutes, we're going to take a look at Ezra chapters 4 through 6, and we're going to add Psalm 137 into the mix. These chapters deal with some of the challenges that they face during rebuilding, and then Psalm 137 is going to be pretty much that raw cry of God's people throughout the exile. As God's people return from exile and begin rebuilding, not everything goes smoothly. Ezra chapters 4 through 6 remind us that God's work always faces opposition. Chapter 4, we see the enemies of Judah offer to help build, but their motives are not pure. When their offer is refused, they actively oppose the work. Letters are sent to Persian kings accusing the Jews of rebellion. The project stalls. For years, the temple foundation just sits there, unfinished, a reminder that they couldn't do it on their own. God's people are back in the land, but it feels like a dream that's been deferred. And then this is really where Psalm 137 fits in. It's a lament of God's people during exile. By the waters of Babylon, there we sat down and wept. When we remembered Zion, on the willows, there we hung up our lyres. They longed for home. They longed for worship. They wept as their captors mocked them. The pain of exile was real. And even in Ezra, though they've returned, the scars of that exile are still very tender. Chapter 5, and we see the prophet Haggai and Zechariah enter into the picture. God sends his word by way of these prophets to wake his people back up again. Even though there's opposition, God's call is clear. Build my house. So in obedience, they start again. The Persian officials notice. Another letter gets sent to the king, and the question hangs in the air, will they be stopped yet again? Then in chapter 6, we see the script turn upside down a little bit. King Darius searches the archives and finds Cyrus's original decree. Not only is the rebuilding authorized, it's actually ordered to be funded by the royal treasury. The very government that once hindered them is now commanded to support them. God turns opposition into provision. And so the temple is completed in the 6th year of Darius's reign. The people celebrate the dedication with sacrifices, with joy, and by the keeping of the Passover. What was once lost in exile has been restored. So if we look at this, we got to realize there's a few things that can relate to us. God's work will face opposition. Another one, the lament that we see in Psalm 137, actually shows us that sadness and lamenting have a place in our faith life. And then God's word reignites courage. So if you find yourself weak or timid, go back to God's word and find the courage that comes from his Spirit. Be well, friends.